Episode 1. The Energy of Love. The Money Heist prequel starts off with Berlin and his third wife going through a separation, and he deals with it the only way he can, with a heist. He gathers his crew that includes Kayla, an electronics engineer, Roy, a common thief with a knack for picking doors, Damien, a professor by day and a criminal mastermind by night, and last, but not least, Bruce, the jack of all trades. The gang goes to a rich people dinner party, and they steal a 4th century chalice worth 40,000 euros. After this heist, the gang travels to Paris, where Berlin introduces a new member to their team, Cameron, who Roy falls in love with right away. They get to work on their next heist, where they will use this chalice they stole earlier to steal 44 million euros worth of jewels. They will present the chalice to a priest and con him into letting them into his church, which will have an auction going on next door, and that is when they will steal the jewels. They have to get the hole dug first, and that is what they plan on doing up until the heist. Berlin has to work on getting information from a man named Francois, as he is the only one who knows the exact time the jewels will arrive. The gang breaks into his apartment when he isn't home one day and installs hidden security cameras. While watching the cameras, Berlin immediately falls in love with Francois's wife, Camille. He follows her to a bar to listen to her sing. The following day, he approaches her and the two become friendly with one another. Francois ghosts her for a date to the opera, and Berlin takes it upon himself to be the knight in shining armor and go with her. Episode 2. Anchor and Lobo. Though reluctant at first, Camille eventually allows Berlin to join her to the opera, but only as friends. Cameron and Roy are sent on a mission to get the chalice back from the priest because he wants to show it to some people in Spain, but they know if he does that, the priest will find out it's been stolen. It doesn't go as easily as they thought it would, and they are chased by 2 men who take back the chalice. Meanwhile, Berlin is at the opera bar getting to know Camille, and she's starting to enjoy his company. When they get back to the hotels, as he is staying across the street from her, he writes his number on her arm. The following day, Kayla and Bruce start getting close with one another, and she is the shy, quiet one, and he wants to break her out of her shell. Damien is upset Roy and Cameron failed at getting the chalice back, but he had a plan B, and he got it back himself. A few hours later, Camille goes to Berlin's door and tells him she felt a connection with him and wants to explore it, and he of course agrees, despite her being married. Next, a montage is shown of Berlin getting close with Camille while the rest of the team continues to work on digging the hole they'll use for the heist. At nighttime, the 4 younger gang members dance and celebrate the nights away. A few days later, the tunnel is built, and the next thing they need to do is break into the back of the vault, which has 24/7 surveillance inside. But that's when Kayla's experience will come into play. While Bruce is distracting the desk guards watching the footage, Kayla hot wires the system to display the security footage she wants displayed and not the live feed. Episode 3. Full House of Embryos. This episode opens with Berlin explaining to the gang how they will conduct Act 2 of the heist and how epic it will be. To practice how they will do it on heist night, they open the back of the empty vault, go inside, and on the security cameras, the guards can't tell anyone is even inside because of Kayla's masterwork. Berlin and Camille go on a date, but then Francois shows up and Camille has to act like Berlin is her art dealer so he doesn't suspect her of cheating. After he leaves, Camille tells Berlin she's never felt the way she feels about him. Berlin asks her to take a trip out of town with him without even talking to the gang about it. The gang has lunch with Damien, but then his wife calls him and tells him she wants to separate, breaking his heart. That night, Cameron tries to comfort him and tells him he's about to be richer than he ever imagined, but it doesn't help much. Berlin and Camille enjoy their weekend away, and the gang is wondering where he is. Out of nowhere, Camille receives a call from Francois, who tells her he knows she is cheating on him with his art dealer as he found her emails. Berlin is excited because now he thinks Camille will be with him and leave Francois. Roy then calls Berlin and he tells him the jewels arrived early and they have to move the heist up. When Berlin goes back inside, Camille tells him she's not leaving Francois, and he is disappointed. He then gets in his car to head back and do the heist that night. Episode 4. An Aquarium on Your Back. Berlin arrives back just in time for the heist, and Francois is wrapping up placing the jewels in the vault. They have 15 hours before the vault is opened again to steal the jewels and get everything cleaned up. They enter the vault and get to work while Kayla does her thing from the outside. Berlin and Damien are arguing because Berlin left without saying anything, and they push each other into the wall, and with Francois right outside, he hears something inside the vault and tells the guards to open it up. Kayla warns them to get out of there. Thankfully, They all get out the back before they can be spotted. After they leave, the gang gets back to it. They get the jewels secured and clean up after themselves, including taking down the cameras in Francois's house. Roy thinks Berlin's affair is compromising the job, but Berlin says not to worry about him. Berlin wants to frame Francois as the thief to get payback for convincing Camille to stay with him. Kayla then organizes a power outage so she can get the security cameras back to normal before the guards notice they've been tampered with. After they are finished cleaning, everyone heads back to their hotel rooms for the night. Bruce asks Kayla to sneak out with him so he can go delete passport information he accidentally used to rent his motorcycle, and that could be a loose end. When they get into the office to delete the file, a man is there as well, so Bruce hides and Kayla tries to act like an IT consultant, and it almost works until the man finds Bruce hiding underneath the desk. Episode 5. After Love. The guard finds Bruce, but then Kayla gets really out of her shell, steals the guard's gun, and threatens them to put their hands in the air, and they are able to leave on their own accord. Meanwhile, Cameron and Roy also break the rules, and they go into the town despite being told to stay in their hotel rooms. Roy tells Cameron all about Berlin's affair and how he believes Berlin's head isn't in the right space, and it could compromise the heist after the fact. They steal someone's car and decide to go street racing with some locals. They put up their car as a prize for the race, and after Cameron has a panic attack, Roy loses the race and the car. Roy takes care of her, and she says she has panic attacks when she is reminded of her childhood. She also tells him how her last relationship went bad, and that's why she isn't ready to date just yet. Elsewhere, Berlin returns back to the hotel in Paris before Camille can even realize he left. Berlin gives her an ultimatum. She needs to choose him or Francois. She can't have both. Inside the vault, the owners realize they have been robbed overnight, and Francois is the police's main suspect, just like Berlin wanted. He was the last to handle the jewels. Little by little, members of the gang leave the hotel separately to not draw attention to themselves. They will all meet a few days later to split the earnings. Camille arrives to the building and is shocked to learn her husband has been arrested, and when the police search the safe in his home, they find some jewels Berlin planted. Camille calls Berlin to her place and tells him about the arrest, and he acts surprised. Episode 6. Night of the Lemons. Camille tells Berlin she thinks her husband was innocent and he was set up by the real thief. Berlin tells her not everyone is how they seem, but she refuses to believe her husband is a criminal. The lead detective Lavelle pressures Francois to just come clean and tell him who helped him steal the jewels, but he maintains his innocence. Cameron, Roy, and Damien are driving together, but then they run into a roadblock because of a nationwide search operation, but they are able to play it off as a grieving family, and it works in fooling the police, knowing the jewels were in the RV with them. They drive the RV to a campsite where they set up camp for the time being and set up an escape route in case they are caught. Berlin, trying to stay on Camille's good side, says he will pay for a great lawyer to get Francois cleared of all charges. This just makes her fall in love with Berlin more. When Roy and Cameron went street racing, they accidentally left one of the necklaces in the back seat of the stolen car, and once it is recovered, the police know they need to find these two to find the thieves. That night, Kayla and Bruce are traveling through the forest hoping to meet the others at the campsite, but when it gets dark, they decide to set up a tent and camp for the night. In the middle of the night, Kayla has to pee and she is bit by a snake, and Bruce says they need to get her medical attention right away. The episode ends with our favorite inspector, Alicia Sierra, joining the investigation with Lavelle. Episode 7. The Last Virgin in the Western World. Bruce sprints with Kayla on his back, hoping to get her medical help right away. Camille and Berlin go visit Francois in jail, and Berlin tells him that he wants to pay for his lawyer and that they believe he is innocent. Francois accepts as all of his money is frozen at the moment. Bruce and Kayla run into a police car when they make it to a road, and he tells them she needs antivenom. Alicia and Lavelle get a sketch of the two car thieves, and they look just like Cameron and Roy. Camille meets with a friend and she tells him she thinks Berlin is sketchy and paying for Francois' lawyer is flat out weird, and Camille hadn't thought about it too much. The police find the campsite that the others were staying at, and they knock on the RV door whenever Damien is inside the house next door hooking up with a fellow camper, and Cameron and Roy are down by the lake. Back at Camille's house, she feels guilty and now is suspicious of Berlin, so she breaks up with him and asks him to leave. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Kayla is getting medical help, but the police recognize Bruce and he has to hold them at gunpoint so they can't radio for help. Raquel Murillo shows up to help Alicia find the thieves. The police hide whenever Cameron and Roy get back to the RV, and inside, Roy confesses his love for Cameron, not realizing the police are camped right outside ready to make a move. They hear a radio beep and realize they've been made and have to resort to Plan B. While Damien and Berlin are singing at a wedding, Camille sneaks into his hotel room and discovers all the evidence lying around. The episode ends with the police about to enter the RV. Episode 8. An Endangered Elephant. Season Finale. Roy and Cameron use the escape plan that they set up when they set up camp to sneak away. The police realize they are gone whenever they enter the RV. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Bruce is able to get Kayla out, and they drive off before police could stop them. At the campsite, Roy is able to distract Lavelle with a location of one of the jewels, and Cameron and Roy are able to sneak out one of the tunnels. While doing so, they come out of a storm drain and are forced to hide in a loading truck nearby to escape detection by the police. Damien tells Berlin he thinks Camille knows the truth because he saw the look on her face when they were singing at the wedding. Meanwhile, Kayla and Bruce make their way to a dock where they hop on a boat to get away via water. Damien and Berlin head back to the hotel room to remove any prints or any evidence. But while cleaning, they notice the police arrive at the hotel and they believe Camille told them everything. Berlin calls Kayla and needs her to hack the hotel's camera system so they can sneak out without getting caught, and of course, she is able to. Damien and Berlin sneak out of a laundry chute and drive away in disguises. Elsewhere, Kayla and Bruce switch out their small speedboat for a huge yacht, and he confesses his love for her. The following day, everyone in the gang meets at a countryside home in Spain with the heist successful. A few days pass so the heat can die down, but in town, Camille confronts Berlin at a cafe. He tells her his feelings for her were all real and falling in love wasn't a part of the plan. They then of course hook up, but her sister convinces her to blackmail him with his arrest unless he pays them to keep quiet, and he gives them his share of the heist. Berlin then calls Damien and says they need to do another heist, and Damien agrees. He's bored. And that is it for Berlin. Thanks for watching.